This visual is about the Texas we love and issues impacting the future of our beloved state. Texas is growing so fast that it's hard to keep up with the changes. Our population has recently raced past 30 million. We're adding over 1,500 families a day, and in some places over 2,200 homes per year. There seems to be no end in sight, with some projecting this growth to continue for years. This growth is bringing prosperity, jobs, and business, but it's also bringing massive traffic, demands for building materials, and largely unchecked industrial growth to supply materials. This massive growth is fast changing the landscape of our beloved hill country, river basins, and wide open rural areas near our large population centers. APOs are scarring our landscape. To supply needed materials, aggregate production operations, or APOs, are rapidly expanding by adding mines and operations adjacent to or near the growth areas. APOs include mines and facilities that produce aggregate and process it into asphalt, cement, and other building materials. Massive growth and expansion of these APOs are causing major conflicts and issues that need to be addressed. APOs are big business in Texas, a $2.5 billion industry. Texas APOs are 70% larger than the next state of California, and the industry is growing rapidly to meet demand. APOs include large, well-funded international, nationwide, and local companies, many taking profits from their Texas operations back to their home state or home country and leaving reclamation and cleanup to others. Existing regulations and permitting processes are considered deficient. Texas does not have comprehensive APO regulations that are in place in most other states. The influence of the industry on the state economy and legislature is strong and protective. Little meaningful dialogue with nearby landowners and resident stakeholders occurs. Many believe that solutions to the growing conflicts between landowner and resident stakeholders and the APOs lie in the equitable resolution of 7 APO key issues. Each of these issues is complex, but we believe that resolution is achievable with equitable and sensible actions by our legislators and community leaders and use of established best management practices by the APOs. Quarries generate lots of airborne particles. There are strong indications that particulate levels near APOs are increasing, and in some cases well above the EPA National Ambient Air Quality Standards. The concern is with PM2.5, invisible microscopic particles about 1/100th the diameter of a human hair. PM2.5 is part of the dust produced by the processing of limestone aggregate materials, including stone quarrying, gravel, sand, cement, concrete, and asphalt. Exposure to PM2.5 can cause health problems, including increased inflammation in the respiratory and cardiovascular systems, weakened immune systems, and carcinogenic lung disease. Children and the elderly are particularly susceptible to these types of damages. Currently, no one knows what the air quality is near APOs or how rapidly it is deteriorating. Why is this? APOs are growing rapidly and are concentrated next to growing population centers. The TCEQ monitoring approach is regional. It does not include monitors close enough to the growing concentrations of APOs to measure the nearby air quality. TCEQ air modeling processes account for just the crushing and processing facilities. The mining operations are ignored and excluded. Distance limitations, setback, and offset rules contain loopholes that allow APOs, such as CBPs, to build right beside residences and schools. Ask anyone near an APO and they will tell you that air quality is getting worse. How much is the question? These deficiencies need to be addressed and fixed to protect the health of Texans living near APOs. Surface and groundwater shortages are growing in Texas according to the Texas Water Development Board. APO mines use lots of water, mostly groundwater, and do not have to account for how much or where the water is coming from. To illustrate, just the new quarries on the Balcones Escarpment in Comal County use about the same amount of water as 12,000 to 15,000 homes. The Texas Water Development Board projects shortages across the state growing from 17% in 2020 to 37% in 2070, with groundwater supplies dropping significantly. On top of all of this, there is no viable plan to fully address the growing water shortages in Texas. Where is the water going to come from to support our growth? APO groundwater pollution is a concern. A key illustration is the Edwards Aquifer. Numerous APOs are expanding or establishing mining operations on top of the Edwards Aquifer in central Texas. Due to the karst geology of the Edwards Limestone and Edwards Aquifer recharge zone, a pollutant discharge in the mining area can readily enter the Edwards, with an impact on nearby water supplies occurring in a matter of days. Sand mining along the San Jacinto River is one of the major contributors of excess sedimentation that aggravated flooding issues in Montgomery and Harris counties during and after Hurricane Harvey. All but one of the 30-plus sand mines are located partially or completely within the regulatory floodway, an area delineated by FEMA as having the highest potential for flooding and erosion along major waterways. Recent multiple flooding of the area are directly attributed to the sedimentation issues. Changes in the permitting processes that allow siting of APOs in these sensitive areas are clearly needed. About 780,000 pound trucks and 100 rail cars are needed daily to move the output of one large APO to the user, resulting in a massive increase in heavy truck traffic in areas around APOs. APO truck traffic has doubled in some areas and is generally forced to use load-limited rural and FM roads for ingress and egress to the APO operations. This is causing rapid deterioration of limited capacity area roads. Maintenance and repair work is short-lived. In some urban areas like Houston, CBP trucks use load-limited roads in residential areas and unincorporated areas of Harris County. Nearby landowner and resident stakeholders are subjected to speeding 80,000-pound trucks on narrow roads, truck accidents, dust, and broken windshields. One 80,000-pound truck is estimated to equal the wear and tear on roads of 9,600 cars. Road and infrastructure damage costs far exceed the revenues collected through the gas tax of 15 cents per gallon and other vehicle fees. Studies show that it costs about 26 cents per mile to repair damage by commercial vehicles. Only about 3 cents per mile is collected with fees, costing Texans about 23 cents a mile for every mile driven by a fully loaded commercial vehicle. Truck safety is a concern. APO truckers generally work on a by-the-load commission incentive system, and the number of loads per day sometimes takes precedent over safety considerations. APOs are quick to tell you that the trucks are independent contractors who don't work for them. Don't accept this position. The APOs depend on independent truckers to move their product to market, and the truckers are a large public face for the APOs. The APOs can easily manage truck safety with simple initiatives such as no loading during nearby school zone hours and declining to do business with trucking companies that have poor safety records. The road damage, insufficient funding for repairs, and unsafe driving culture inherent in the current trucking model lead to safety incidents and a non-sustainable road situation. Changes are needed. Nuisance issues including blasting, quarry noise, visible light impacts on surrounding properties, and odor trespass all have large impacts to residents and landowners living near APO facilities. Unmanaged blasting causes blasting noises, shaking homes and buildings, rattling windows, and potential foundation damage. Constant mining equipment backup beepers sound at long distances on a 24/7 basis. Mine lighting significantly affects nearby properties. For example, APO floodlights overwhelm hill country sunsets and nighttime skies. Odors from nearby APOs, such as HMAPs, can be significant. There are no current statewide regulations addressing these nuisance issues. Well-established blasting procedures for other mining industries can provide protection for nearby landowners. OSHA and MNCHA guidelines allow alternatives to backup beepers such as white noise alarms that are less intrusive and produce a directional hissing noise that adjusts in volume automatically to the background noise so as not to be any louder than necessary. Current law provides some regional lighting restrictions utilizing dark sky lighting technology. This technology could be readily applied to APOs. Proliferation of massive APOs near established housing developments has negative economic impacts, including devaluation of neighboring properties and misapplication of agriculture and wildlife evaluations for APO properties. Sensible regulatory oversight is the answer. Texas APOs are developing massive and growing mine pits with no requirement for reclamation. This is resulting in major stakeholder conflicts that most other states have been resolved, with comprehensive but sensible APO mining regulations coupled with obligatory best management practices. Most of our Texas APOs operate successfully in these other states with comprehensive mining regulations. Why not in Texas? How do we achieve equity for all stakeholders? Is our current approach, massive, unreclaimed moonscape scarring of the landscape, what we want Texas to look like for our children, grandchildren, friends, and visitors? Or do we want responsible use and reclamation of the land to be the way forward? The Texas House Interim Committee on APOs has studied the issues in detail and is preparing a comprehensive report of recommendations. Most of the APO stakeholder key issues would be largely resolved by simply implementing the APO report recommendations. These are already in place for coal mining in Texas, work well, and just need to be applied to APOs. The decision for our future is in our hands.